So this is what I love about just kind of paying attention to the calorie content. You still get to have the thing. You're just not blowing your calorie budget on that one item. And you're on the train to weight loss land. Let's go.
Welcome to Simple Weight Loss for Busy Moms, the podcast that cuts through all the social media noise and gives you real strategies to lose weight without fad diets or complicated plans. I'm Amanda Ford, and I teach busy moms how to use calorie tracking, simple nutrition skills, and strength training to finally lose the first 10, 20, or even 30 pounds and keep it off. If you're tired of starting over, overwhelmed by your schedule, or wondering if lasting weight loss is even possible while raising kids, you're in the right place. Each week, you'll get practical tips, tough love motivation, and repeatable routines that fit into your real life so you can feel strong, confident, and in control. This is Simple Weight Loss for Busy Moms. Let's get started.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Simple Weight Loss for Busy Moms podcast. I'm your host, Amanda Ford, and we are jumping right into week 3. And this is my series called How to Lose Weight. If you're new here, this is your first time listening to the podcast, welcome. But this is a specific series for you to listen to from start to finish. I have many episodes prior to the series for you to binge on, but if you're interested in this particular series, I continue to remind everyone that these episodes, they can stand alone, but the series is meant to be listened to from start to finish as each lesson builds on the next, and you take a week in between each lesson to build your skills and get comfortable with your new lifestyle and routine. So if you're joining again for the first time, do me a favor and go back and listen to episode 30 and start there. Then be sure to come back each week for your next coaching session. The first couple weeks, there's a couple episodes each. Then I am kind of reducing it down to one episode per lesson from there, but we'll see how that goes. If you have questions, go ahead and leave them in the YouTube comments or send me an email to hello@thehealthhobby.com, and be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Many of you listen to Apple and Spotify but are not subscribed to my YouTube channel. So do me a huge favor and make sure you're connected on that platform as well, and be sure to hit the subscribe button. Even if you don't listen on YouTube, it's a major benefit to me. It helps spread the word. It helps get my channel popped up in more people's feeds. And finally, don't forget to sign up for my email list as well, because I share all sorts of weight loss tips to my email subs. This is a great way to connect with me because I don't use social media much. So, all right, all that stuff, YouTube, email list, any links I reference in this upcoming episode, everything will be down in the show notes. So pop down there and check it all out. Thanks so much for continuing to support the podcast. And if you're new, thanks so much for your time in your first episode here with us. And be sure to share this podcast with your fave mom friends and besties. Rolling right into the third week of being on a weight loss journey. How is it going? If you're listening in real time, you're like, what the heck, Amanda? It's been more than 3 weeks. I know. I'm going to spare you the laundry list of things that has happened in the Ford household in the last few weeks. But here I am. I did say at the beginning, it's going to be hard for me to do every single week. So I'm just going to keep rolling with the punches, just like you need to keep rolling with the punches during your weight loss journey, because things happen. And it can be like a bunch of silverware thrown in the air. Like you don't know where it's all going. It's going to make a bunch of noise. It's chaotic. And we're just going to keep rolling with it. So thanks for sticking with me so far, you guys. I am so curious though, how are you doing? Are you feeling more confident in your routine? Have you had any wins? What challenges are you having? I want to know, you guys. Pop down in the YouTube comments and let me know how you're feeling so far. You are not in this alone, although I do want you to be able to do this solo because you can, you're capable. But I am here for you guys. I am your weight loss coach in your ears. Like I always say, don't feel shy or conflicted or anything like that about putting comments, feedback, questions in the YouTube comments, because I will definitely get back to you. I want to help you through this process. Last week, you did a food analysis and you got to know your calorie tracker app and you meal prepped snacks. That was a big week. That was your first step into you revamping your nutrition, so to speak. So I would really love to know how that went, because this particular topic and space and routine and rhythm that people really need to lock in for successful weight loss. This is where I lose people. You're like, okay, I can drink water. I can walk every day. We haven't plugged in strength training yet. That's coming. Like, I can usually get people to do those things, but the nutrition part is the sticky wicket. Like, you have to do it. It's like you back away because you get nervous or you don't have confidence from previous attempts. All that's fine. We all feel it. Things happen. Like both your kids get sick and you have multiple emergency room visits over 4 weeks and multiple antibiotic rounds, just taking you into what's been going on, even though I said I wouldn't. But that's all okay. This takes a lot of time. So give yourself grace, give yourself patience. Maybe you didn't lock in as much as you wanted to last week, or you got a little confused, or you felt overwhelmed. I don't want you to feel like that. Go ahead and even just pause this episode and re-listen to the last week's episode, get your bearings about you, and try it again. And that's really all we can do, because as you start to participate and fine tune and get your balance, just like riding a bike, it's going to start to be simple and like a breeze moving forward. But it does take time, you guys. So I got to know, put in the comments how you're feeling. And don't forget to do those weekly personal assessments, because that's where you can really fine tune what you're good at, what you need a little more focus on. So say that you're like spot on your walking routine. You're like, this has been easy. I get this. I get it done every day. Just don't even stress about that anymore. Make sure you're doing it, but put your mind and your intentions and your focus into those areas where you're needing to build more skill. You need more time. You're going to get there. So building on what we learned and implemented last week, let's continue our skill development in what I call smart nutrition. The goal for this week is to meet your energy target, i.e. your calorie budget. I'm going to use those interchangeably. They mean the same. And not go over your budget. Remember, your energy target is your budget, like I just said. And if you open up your calorie tracking app, and if you haven't gotten it yet, you need to, because that was our homework for the last lesson. We use Chronometer. It's an app you can get on Android, iPhone, and also there's a desktop version, which I absolutely adore. You need to get used to using that, but you can look at your energy target. It will be in the top right corner of your food diary. That is your target for the day. It will adjust if you're wearing a fitness tracker and it's linked. This is a sidebar. It will adjust a little bit if you're like working out really hard and your fitness tracker is talking to it. It might change a little bit, but if you wake up in the morning, pop open your calorie tracker, you haven't done any exercise, nothing's happened, that's your energy target for the day. So get used to that. And it's really, really important that you respect that number. We do need to lock into our weekly progress and kind of assess to see if it needs to be tweaked a little bit. It either could be tweaked down or up. I'll talk about that in a minute. It's really important to say that because the app is very sophisticated, and calculating your calorie target, it should be fairly accurate. But I always like to remind people we're all unique. We all need a specific amount of calories per day. It's not the same as your neighbor. It's not the same as your mom or your boyfriend, your kid. It's unique to you. And I think that's pretty special, actually. But the calorie tracker is not perfect. It's pretty close, but it's not perfect. So it's important to kind of recognize patterns and do those weekly assessments and make sure if you can weigh in every day, throughout the week and see, are you actually losing weight over the course of the week? If you're not, there's a couple of things we can talk about. You might need to reduce your target just a little bit. I try not to do that. I like to encourage more movement so you're burning more calories, because I'm like, I want to eat as much as I can. You know what I'm saying? But time can be challenging for busy moms to include more physical activity. I have so many hacks that would blow your mind that have nothing to do with going to the gym for an hour to burn more calories or going on an extra walk. But that's for another episode. But I just want to stress that it might not be perfect, and don't give up. So if you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not losing weight, or oh my gosh, I gained a little bit of weight, that's not the end of the story. It's not the end of the road. It means that we need to have a look. And I need to, if we were working together, this is, I've been, I've been struggling with coming on here and doing this particular episode because this part of the journey is where it's really beneficial to have just one-to-one conversations, because everyone's lifestyle and eating routines are so unique to them that it's difficult for me to say, you need to do this if this is happening, you need to do that if that's happening. I can give some generalized recommendations, tips, but the point of this whole rant is that I want you to let it be what it is, think about it, and make some adjustments as you go on. You are going to lose weight if you stick to your calorie target. You are. It might take some time to find that balance, like I've said 1,000 times. So, but don't stress, you guys. This week, we are going to practice eating within our energy targets, tracking our food and weight to assess if we actually do need to make any adjustments up or down. This part really requires some patience and grace as you allow yourself the time to fully participate in this process. So again, if you have questions, or if you're feeling like, oh, I do need to kind of work with you a little bit, send me an email. I'm happy to do like a really mini chat with you about it. But if you want more in-depth one-to-one coaching, also just let me know. We can talk about how that works too. All right, you guys, let's take a breath and let's move in to today's lesson. And we're going to be talking about how we can eat within our calorie budget, i.e. our energy target, through two strategies, and that's food selection and portion control. So let's start with the concept of food selection with the perspective of smart management of your calorie budget. So I'm going to just assume we're just using this number. It means nothing. It's just to prove a point, you guys. Let's assume you have a budget of 1,500 calories to eat each day. That's your energy target. Again, I'm going to use the phrases energy target and calorie budget interchangeably. The app calls it energy target. So that's why I actually never used to say that, but I just want to use language that you see, because that is what it's listed as in your app. So, okay, so you have 1,500 calories of delicious food to eat per day. Yay! So what is the smartest way to go about this for weight loss success? First, the real truth is that you can eat whatever you want on this journey as long as you maintain your calorie budget each day, meaning and that means that you don't eat more than your target, right? You don't go over budget. If you're overeating, this whole process will not work. And that's why you've gained weight in the last few months or years or what have you. That's why you're not losing weight. Because right now, when you're not tracking, or you started tracking last week because you're doing this series with us, go you. But just prior to all this, you are not paying attention to what you're eating, and you're overeating for your daily needs. But we need to do this in the smartest way, most cost-effective way possible. Okay, so I want to use an example of going shopping for clothes. It's a really common lesson to use finances when we're talking about calorie budgets. I hear that a lot. So let's say, we have 1,500 calories that we're working with. So let's say we have $1,500 to go buy new clothes for fall. So you need to get like a bunch of cold weather gear, you need some jeans, you need sweaters, you need boots, you need a coat, you need a beanie, you need gloves. Think of like, okay, I really need all of these winter essentials for the upcoming season. You get to the mall and you walk into the department store, and all of a sudden you see this gorgeous wool coat. It's what you need, right? You need a coat. It's just amazing. You love it. It's adorable. It's so chic. You look at the price tag and it's $1,400. And you're like, I'm buying it. I have $1,500, leaving you with just $100 to buy all the other things that you actually needed for the season. So you did get one thing, but you blew most of your money on that one item and you have nothing else for winter. You might get a couple things with that $100, but not the whole gamut that you went for. So all or most of your shopping budget was used on just that wool coat, leaving you stuck in the mud for the purchases of the rest of the clothes. So my point here is that managing your calorie budget each day is the same as managing your money efficiently and smart. So you can afford to use your 1,500 calories on a single meal, but it leaves you stuck for the rest of the day. Sometimes you could eat, easily eat 1,500 calories if you went out to a restaurant or eat fast food at one meal, like no problem in one sitting. And then the rest of the day, if you were a big stickler, you wouldn't eat the rest of the day. But that's also not a healthy thing to do. So what happens is like on a day like that, you would be eating over typically because you get hungry again. And it's not smart to just, I think people would argue against this because there's a whole thing about intermittent fasting right now, but I don't teach to that. So it's just really not a smart way, especially when we want to think about maintaining energy level throughout the day, to blow all of our calorie budget on one meal. And it reduces the variety of foods that we're having, which then reduces the variety of nutrients we're having and just the fun of eating other foods, So this can happen easily, you guys. Like I said, if you are not tracking your food, you're not portioning out your food, and when you eat out is really, really a common way that you're going to blow most or all of your calorie budget on one meal. So let's go into the real world and do an example. And I love using Starbucks because people go hard on Starbucks. We have people that go to Starbucks every single day. That is their thing. And no hate on that, but I just want to use it as an example because, it's most of you are probably going to Starbucks at some point. There was a time in my life that I went to Starbucks twice a day and I was spending like so much money on Starbucks, but I was having a bunch of calories too on Starbucks because I was getting venti drinks. That's the big one. So here's the example I want to give, and let's just pretend that it's breakfast time. So let's say that you like to go to Starbucks and you're not a hot coffee drinker, but you're like, I really love the mocha frappuccinos. That is one of their classic drinks. They're so delicious. That's one of the frozen latte drinks, or that has espresso. It's kind of like a milkshake. You're like, I'm gonna get a venti mocha frap. I'm also hungry because it's breakfast time. So you're like, I'm gonna get my caffeine. I'm gonna get some food. And I love their sausage, cheddar, and egg sandwich. So that's in our example here. So those two things just at breakfast, you guys. So your venti mocha frappuccino is 470 calories. The sausage sandwich is 480 calories. So your breakfast equates to about 950 calories right there, leaving you with 550 calories for the rest of the day if you're working within that 1,500 calorie budget, which we're using for our example. I'm not saying you can't eat these items, but I am saying there's a smarter way to manage your food budget. So still go to Starbucks, but can you get a tall frappuccino instead of a venti? Can you get a different sandwich or a different breakfast item altogether? The cool thing is now it's really to our benefit. I'm so glad that restaurants started to do this, is that fast food and other, restaurant chains, they have their calories listed on the menu. And if you go into their apps, you can get the full nutrition facts like right in your hand. So I use these all the time to help me maintain smart food decision making. So the point here is I want you making smarter, more calorie efficient food choices. So you then have more flexibility and more room to eat delicious food throughout the day. Additionally, we also want to do our best to eat a variety of foods, which I mentioned just a minute ago. So we're also doing our best to take in all the nutrients, vitamins, minerals, things that we need without just cutting it off because we blew our calorie budget on 1 or 2 meals. It's really like managing money, you guys. What's going to give you the biggest bang for your buck? What's going to give you the best value for this process? So, what's going to give you the most nutrients and keep you full while you're still on budget? All right, so let's talk about how we can make more efficient, smarter food selections that will allow you to keep eating foods you love while being productive in your intentions to lose weight. So, I'm sensitive about saying if food is bad or good or smart or poor choice. Please know that when I use specific foods as examples, that's just because I'm looking to drive home a point. So, you can use those examples to understand the concept. So, how do we get the biggest bang for our buck when managing our calorie budget for weight loss? In short, we want to choose foods that give us more volume, so a larger portion, while not being too high in calories. So low to moderate calories per portion size. So that way you can actually have more of that food and feel full and satiated and satisfied. The only way to know if you're hitting your targets here is by looking at food labels and tracking your food. So you've had a week or two to get used to the calorie tracking app. So that's why I was saying last episode, like it really is your best friend in this process. And it takes time to find your balance here. It's not going to be perfect right out of the gate. Make it a game. That's what I like to do. Take some risks, try some new things or different portion sizes of food to get it just right. So think about that example that I used, the Frappuccino, the venti size. So that's the largest portion at Starbucks for that drink was 450 calories. However, a tall, so that's the small at Starbucks, is 250 calories. So this is what I love about just kind of paying attention to the calorie content. You still get to have the thing. You're just not blowing your calorie budget on that one item, and you're on the train to weight loss land. Let's go. This is exactly why I like to take this process slow though. So you have to experiment. You have to see like different portion sizes of stuff. Like, how did that make you feel? Did that work? There needs to be trial and error in the process. I want you to eat foods you really, really like while finding a good balance between making a few healthy changes and keeping to your usual eating routine. Because if we can do that, you're going to be successful. It's going to be a lot easier for you. You're going to see weight loss. Let's talk about another example. I really struggled with this one because everyone wants me to talk about specific foods that they're thinking about like right now. So if you're thinking about specific foods, put them in the comments. Like, what type of things do you want me to talk about? Like portion size of ice cream, portion size of potato chips, or going to Taco Bell or whatever. What are you thinking about when I'm having this conversation with you right now about portion size and calorie budgets and maintaining your energy targets? What foods are coming to mind? But I really struggled with this part because everyone has, their own unique eating styles and things that they eat on the regular. So this is why it's super helpful to have those one-to-ones with me. If you need them, send me a DM on YouTube or put it in the comments or send me an email if you're interested. But for today, I needed something that most of us eat and something that's going to drive home this concept really clearly for you so you can learn how to make these decisions on your own. So if you have questions, again, comments on YouTube, I'll get with you, or send me an email. I'll get to you as soon as I can. But in this example, we're going to be talking about food selection when it comes to maintaining your calorie budget, your energy intake for the day so you can lose weight. So, I'm going to use the example of ground beef versus chicken breast. So, most of us eat these things on the regular. Both of these meat sources are super good for you, and one is not better than the other. I just want to drive that home. However, one is more efficient when it comes to portion size to calorie ratio. Ground beef and chicken breast are staples in our weekly meal plan. In fact, I eat both of them multiple times a week. I love them. They're versatile and super yummy. Plus, they pack major protein. So let's talk about a typical serving size of meat. When we're building meal plans, it's really common to see a serving size of around 3 to 4 ounces of a protein. So a meat protein, so beef, fish, chicken, pork. It's really common to say 3 to 4 ounces, and that's a great size. Everyone's hand size is different, but it's about the size of, the palm of your hand ish. Obviously not like Michael Jordan's hands or Shaq's hands, but you know what I mean? Like it's a pretty good size portion. But here's a little tip for you. I like to bump my portions up to 4 to 5 ounces when I'm doing my meat portioning because it gives me extra protein really easily. Like bumping up just by an ounce, I'm getting a lot more protein without too much headache. So I recommend you do this as well. It's an easy way to increase your protein. So let's examine the protein sizes versus calorie ratio for each of these delicious meats. So this example is considering that we're using 80-20 ground beef and the chicken breast is boneless and skinless. And both of them are cooked. So if you are I'm sorry, I'm laughing because the kids nowadays are saying cooked, like that's a slang word. Sorry. Sidebar. I'm a squirrel, you guys. I can't help it. So both of these the beef and the chicken in our example will be cooked. The calorie count is different between raw and cooked foods. So you need to know that. That's why you might see that in the calorie tracker. It'll say raw, fresh, or it'll say cooked. So in these examples, I'm measuring out the food when they're cooked. So for 5 ounces of ground beef, the calories are approximately 360 calories and approximately 22 grams of protein. I'm not going to get into the other macronutrients in this on today, but I just want to talk about the protein and the number of calories. So for ground beef, again, 360 calories for 5 ounces, 22 grams of protein for 5 ounces. For 5 ounces of chicken breast, it's 230 calories and 43 grams of protein. So for the same portion of food, the chicken breast saves you 130 calories and provides about double the amount of protein. This is a hugely valuable food when we're trying to save calories or use our calories in a more efficient way so we can still get a nice hefty portion and not be blasting our calorie budget for the day. This is smart nutrition at its finest, you guys, and a major argument for choosing leaner protein sources during your weight loss journey. Again, there is no harm or foul in having beef, pork, bacon, anything that's not really a lean protein source. I think we should include meats all around, the ones that we love. And if you aren't used to eating chicken breast, give it a try. But, we still eat chicken thighs, which are really high in fat, lots of protein. So it's really just you got to find a nice balance of your personal likes when it comes to foods choices and how can you make some changes even just a couple times a week to make sure that you are really on point with your calorie budget. So another way that we do this is simply through portion control. So let's use some of my favorite foods in this example. So we're going to use sourdough bread and peanut butter. So I love both of those. Some of you might be thinking, oh my gosh, you shouldn't eat sourdough bread and peanut butter on a weight loss journey. Those are not good for you. Well, they're super good for you because I like to eat them. And that's one reason why they're good for you. but there's protein in them. There's vitamins and minerals in the bread. Same with the peanut butter, especially if you get all natural. So this is actually a really great snack. And I do not believe that they are bad for you at all. Like I said, like all food is good. We just, especially if we're talking about like candies and cakes and things like that, moderation, obviously, you guys. But let's not get into the mindset of like, oh, I can't have that. I can't have this. Yes, you can. And this episode is hopefully opening your eyes to share with you how you can do that. So let's talk about how sourdough bread and peanut butter can play a role in your weight loss journey, but we'll talk about portion control here. So if you look at the nutrition label on most breads, the serving size is going to be one slice. So each time you have more than one slice, you're increasing not only the calories you're consuming, but also the nutrients in that particular serving. So obviously you're having two, so you're doubling the calories that are listed on the nutrition label. On average, I'd say a slice of sourdough is about 150 calories, and that varies widely because sourdough has many different shapes and sizes, but we're just doing like an average here. So let's do some simple math. If I had 2 slices of sourdough bread, then that means I'm having 300 calories right there just in bread. Now let's talk about peanut butter. The typical serving size on the peanut butter nutrition label, so for most peanut butter, it's going to be 2 tablespoons. We eat Costco organic peanut butter. The serving size is in fact 2 tablespoons, like I said, in the serving. And in the serving, there is 200 calories. So when I have 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, I'm having 200 calories. And I want you to hold the phone for a second because peanut butter is extremely calorie dense. That's one of those foods that I recommend that you always, always, always portion out. And the reason is because you can easily blow your calorie budget by overeating these types of foods like peanut butter because they are so high in fat. So again, this is not a bad thing. It's just important to keep in mind. So, traditional butters, dairy made from dairy, salad dressings, creamy ones or even oil-based ones, regular peanut butter, almond butter, any seed butters that you might have, those alternative butters, condiments, mayonnaise, always measure these out. I have a little story to tell you guys about this later, but they seem like they're so insignificant because they're in small amounts, but a lot of us just drizzle salad dressing all over our really nice, robust, healthy salad full of veggies, even meat sometimes. It's going to be so good and nourishing. And you think that you're going to keep your calorie budget on track, but you've blasted your calories because you dumped like 8 tablespoons of ranch dressing all over your salad. Again, ranch dressing is totally fine. We just need to have it in moderation so we're staying within our calorie budget. So I like snacks. This is one of the things, like, before you kind of go head first into portion control, start with condiments, start with butter, start with oils, salad dressings, creamy stuff, because it's really good to learn because you need to be vigilant about this stuff. And it's a really good reason to get dressings on the side if you can at restaurants, things like that, because again, they're very calorie dense. So let's go back to my example. So we're talking about having sourdough and peanut butter sourdough toast and peanut butter. That's like my favorite snack. When I started learning about calorie intake many years ago, peanut butter was a super big eye opener for me. That's why I kind of just went on a rant about it. I used to have toast and peanut butter before the gym literally every morning. And I would just use the knife to dole out the peanut butter. So there was a nice thick layer with no bare spots on the bread. I don't like it when there's bare spots on the bread. It bothers me. Well, one day I decided to measure out how much peanut butter I was using. You guys, I was having 2 to 3 times the serving size on the peanut butter jar. So just up front in the morning, I was taking in about 600 calories in just peanut butter and another 150 in bread. So doing some quick math, that's about 750 calories. And that was supposed to be my pre-workout snack. So we talked about in our example throughout this episode, the calorie budget, and my personal calorie budget still to this day is about 1,500 calories. I do get to eat more because I work out so much. It's for another episode. We're going to be talking about that in a couple episodes from now. But having this snack took up half my budget. So 750 calories for my pre-workout snack. So that's at 4 o'clock in the morning when I was getting ready to go to the gym. I already blasted my calorie budget. And there's nuances there. Yes, I hadn't worked out, so my energy target will be adjusted. Yes, yes, and yes. I'm just trying to prove a point here, you guys, that one single snack or meal, like I said at the very beginning of this episode, can really throw you off. So you can still have the things, but we need to be more responsible and efficient about how we have it. That is with portion modifications. I reduced it down to just having 1 serving of peanut butter, which the jar says that is 2 tablespoons. And then I even reduced it down to even having a half a slice of sourdough, or instead I would use rice cakes. So I'd go back and forth because I can have 2 rice cakes and it's only 100 calories and I'm having more food. So again, that's one of those tricks. Like, how do I get the biggest bang for my buck? More volume of food so I'm feeling full. Is it something I like? Yes, I love rice cakes so much. They're a really great thing to add into your weight loss journey meal plan, giving you lots of volume, not a lot of calories, lots of flavor. So right there, with making those swaps, I saved 450 calories, and I'm still eating the snack that I absolutely love. This is a clear example of why portioning out your food matters in a weight loss journey. Some people believe in mindful eating. I absolutely do not. What I believe in and what I teach here is math. I know this can seem overwhelming, but here are some simple ways to get started. So last lesson, you were to track 3 days of your food. Do you see any foods that you could reduce the portion size that would allow you to keep eating that food while saving calories? Snacks are big here. I can go hard, like I'm talking like mega hard on chips and salsa. But if I don't portion out my chips, I will easily eat 3 to 4 times the serving size. So how do you get good at this? I want you to start looking at food labels and get used to what's the listed serving size. So start there. And I have to say this, otherwise I would stew about it all day if I didn't. The serving size is not the recommended size. Like, it's not the recommended serving size from the USDA, the federal government. That's not what the serving size is on a food package. All it is the volume of food the food company used to calculate the data that you see on the food label. So 3 ounces of tortilla chips equals X amount of calories. And if we want to go back and learn about, go back and listen to episode 20, The Power of Calorie Tracking. It's my #1 episode ever to date. It's still exploding. I get into the math, but if you were to break down the protein, carbohydrates, and fats, there's a certain amount of calories in each one of those. It would add up to about whatever they say that the calorie is in that particular volume of food. So it's not a recommended serving size. It's just a really nice place to start. And I like to, again, bring up the peanut butter. And I was like, you know what? I was having like probably 9-10 tablespoons of peanut butter. Like, gosh, get a hold of yourself, Amanda. But when I kind of had a realization, I was like, okay, 2 tablespoons, let me give it a try. That was plenty. I still got that delicious taste of peanut butter and I felt fine about it. So again, you can have more than the serving size says on the package. It's just to help you make decisions on, food volume versus how many calories you have available left in the day, or, what your goals are. The next thing is pretty obvious. You have to track your food and look for patterns. So if you see that you're really overeating in the morning because of a particular breakfast choice you're making, so can you eat something else? Can you reduce the portion size? Sometimes reducing the portion sizes is kind of too drastic. And it's like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to use ice cream for an example because it's really calorie dense. It's like, okay, the serving size for ice cream is, I think it's a half a cup. It's a typical serving size. I am not going to lie. I have way more than a half a cup of ice cream if I'm going to have ice cream, okay? So, if it's fine, you can have a half a cup of ice cream, that's fine. But I'm just saying, like, you got to be realistic with yourself. Like, the pattern for me is having more than a half a cup of ice cream. So I know that about myself. So I need to either really stay on track and portion out that ice cream, or I need to plan to have a little bit more of that dessert for later in the day. So planning ahead is something that can be really helpful in getting good at maintaining your energy intake for the day and hitting the mark for your calorie budget. Begin to think about some swaps like I did with the sourdough and the rice cakes. So, for example, let's go back to our Starbucks morning breakfast that we had earlier in the episode. We had the frappuccino and we had the sausage sandwich. So, I already kind of said this example, but instead of getting the venti, get a small or a grande. Or can you switch your drink altogether? Still get something at Starbucks. Can you get black coffee? I mean, black coffee is good. I have milk and sugar in my coffee once in a while, but I love black coffee now. And it doesn't make me feel as bloated. I get really sensitive with milk, but maybe you switch and become a black coffee drinker, and that has like 0 calories in it. So, and then you can still get your sausage breakfast and your sausage sandwich, and it's like ain't no thing because it's only a couple hundred calories. Really, these are simple swaps. How can you make this work for you? This is fully participating in your nutrition. It's vigilance, it's pausing, it's being aware, and it's a willingness to learn and make needed changes so you get to your goal. Again, you're making tiny shifts while trying your best to maintain your typical eating routines and eating foods that you love. That's very important to me during this process when I'm coaching people. And I want you to keep that really close to your heart as you go through this. And the way that you do that is you just have to be flexible. Okay. So your homework this week is to start this process yourself with the goal to hit your calorie target each day. So if you have a routine of going to McDonald's for breakfast each morning, but that literally counts for your entire calorie budget or like half of it for the day, how can you make a change? Can you have a similar breakfast at home that's half the calories? Can you leave off the hash browns? Can you grab a different breakfast sandwich, right? Get a black coffee instead of a latte with mocha, with chocolate and sugar and things like that. Be open, be creative, be flexible, and you will find weight loss, my friend. I promise. And start looking at, especially if you're someone that eats out a lot, get really used to looking at the calories on the menu boards. They will drive your decisions. And I'm not even gonna lie. We go to Taco Bell all the time. I love Taco Bell. I saw this funny reel on social yesterday. It was like this girl, she was like, it was a joke. She was like, I'm 60 days clean from going to Taco Bell. It was really funny. But it was obviously a joke, but seriously, it was funny because people love Taco Bell. I love Taco Bell. My daughter loves Taco Bell. And it's really not the best food for us. But I know that menu so well, and I know the nutrition facts of the things that they sell so well that I feel pretty confident every time I go there. I know what I'm getting, and I know that I'm still maintaining my calorie budget. They have an app. If you are a Taco Bell fanatic like I am, get the app. You can pop it open, and you can see how much anything on that menu is: calories, proteins, fat, carbohydrates, fiber. It'll give you the full nutrition profile, and you can make decisions and get your Taco Bell order all locked in so you can still, have that once in a while. Some other things: make sure that your kitchen is set up with the measuring tools on day one, back on episode 30. If you're new here and you decided to listen to this entire episode, go back and listen to that, start there, and then make your way forward. I did recommend having a food scale, measuring cups, measuring spoons. Start thinking about cooking more for yourself than going to Taco Bell. So you want a crunchy taco, can you make them at home? You're probably going to save yourself a bunch of calories there. It's going to taste better. And you could make some swaps maybe. You could maybe do ground turkey or ground chicken instead of ground beef if you wanted. You have control over how much of that you're having. So just think about ways that you can take control of your food habits. And one of the biggest ways is cooking for yourself. Also, be sure to add any oils to your tracker or butters. So when you're cooking, people do this a lot. They don't account for the olive oil or the butter they use to saute the onions or saute whatever, veggies or whatever. And the thing is like you're not having that full serving of olive oil with your food. You're having like a small fraction. So what I recommend is just, adding like not a tablespoon, but depending on how much you used in the pan. But I usually add like a teaspoon to my dinner. If I used an olive oil or butter, I add about a teaspoon to my dinner. So I'm doing my best to account for those calories because those are butter and oils. They're very high in fat, calorie dense. They can blow you out of the water if you are not paying attention to how much you're having. And again, we have to estimate, right? If it's just cooking oil and you're not having that full serving of olive oil, we estimate. It's our best guess, and that's okay too. This week, you are really getting your feet wet in this process. If you need help, please go over to my YouTube channel. If you're not there already, leave a comment or send me a DM on there, or send me an email at hello@thehealthhobby.com. I have some fun bonuses coming to help you with this nutrition process because I know this is something that really can be troublesome for people. I want this to be easy. I want you to give yourself like weeks and weeks and weeks to get good at this. I want you to ask me questions. I want you to participate. I want you to ask yourself questions. I want you to pay attention to what you're eating. I don't want you to feel bad about what you're eating, but I want you to ask yourself like, how can I make this more calorie effective for my goals? That's all. Just start asking yourself those questions. Start portioning out. Like if you're going to have chips and salsa, I think the chips that I like, the portion size is like 11 chips. I know that sounds so ridiculous, but I put my 11 chips in the bowl. It's actually a lot of calories. I think it's like almost 200 calories and I'm happy with it. I get my salsa going and I'm not eating like 1,000 calories of chips with chips and salsa by eating out of the bag, right? So just small things like that, you guys. We are so close to having your entire process set up. So the next lesson will work on fine-tuning your nutrition. And we're going to take a deeper look at macronutrients along with your calories. So macronutrients are proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. This is a bit more advanced, but can be a big help and impact on your weight loss goals when we're tracking and kind of coming up with what we're going to eat and how our weight loss is progressing. So this is unique to you and something that is something we would dive deep into if we were working one-to-one together. But I do want to give you the opportunity to learn about that and be able to find what is really your niche, perfect point macronutrient ratio for your weight loss goals. So we're going to do that next lesson. And I am also going to be offering a free meal plan that you guys can download next time. It's going to be what I eat in a day. I'm pretty simple. I'm pretty easy. I'm so excited to get it to you guys. I don't really make extravagant, insane meals with a bunch of insane ingredients. I love just like plain and simple because it keeps it easy to maintain. And I'm a busy mom. I don't have time for a bunch of ingredients and like insane recipes. So all right, you guys, you're drinking your water, you're walking daily, you've got a calorie tracker, you're able to assess your progress. You are pretty much a full-blown weight loss coach by this time. What do you even need me for? I'm sure you guys are going to need me. So again, comments, questions, YouTube, email. You can access all of that down in the show notes. All right, friends, happy eating. Lots of love. Catch you on the next episode.
Hey there, me again. Quick disclaimer, I share tips, insights, and ideas to help you on your weight loss and fitness journey, but I'm not your doctor or your personal health guru. Before diving into any nutrition or fitness plans I talk about, make sure to check in with your healthcare provider. They know your body best. Think of this podcast as your cheerleader in a place for healthy living idea inspiration, not your prescription pad. Stay safe, stay smart, and let's crush those goals together. Until next time.